The World Health Organization, WHO, has declared COVID-19 a pandemic. COVID-19 stands for Coronavirus Disease 2019 and is caused by the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that are common in people and many different species of animals, including cats and bats. Common human coronavirus typically causes an upper respiratory tract infection like the common cold. Most people get infected with one or more of these viruses at some point in their lives. The human coronavirus infection typically resolves on its own with basic rest while feeling miserable. Rarely, the coronaviruses that infect animals can evolve and become a new coronavirus, which then infect and spread between people. Important examples of these include severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, or SARS, in 2003, and the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus, also known as MERS. In 2019, in Wuhan, a city in the Hubei province in China, noticed a number of unusual cases of pneumonia in the hospital. These patients most notably presented with clinical symptoms of dry cough, dyspnea, fever, and bilateral lung infiltrates on imaging. The coronavirus cases were eventually reported to the World Health Organization country office in China on the 31st of December 2019. Many of the cases were reported, and searches for the source have shown the Huanan seafood market, a wet market, as the origin. The market was where a large variety of vertebrate and invertebrate animals, wild caught and farm raised, are sold. On January 1st, said markets were closed. Furthermore, on January 12, 2020, China shares the genetic sequence of the novel coronavirus, which will be very important for the other countries as they develop specific diagnostic tests. By the end of January, the coronavirus was found to have originated from wild bats and belonged to the similar group as SARS. Hence, this coronavirus is also known as SARS coronavirus 2. By January 30th, the novel coronavirus outbreak was declared an emergency. On February the 11th, 2020, the World Health Organization announced that the official name of the disease would be COVID-19, a shortened version of coronavirus disease 2019. By March 11th, COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. A pandemic is a global outbreak of a disease, something not to be taken lightly. COVID-19 is a concern because it is highly transmissible. The number of cases are increasing at a rapid rate, and this is due to the virus being contagious, but also due to an increase in awareness and the availability of the diagnostic kits. As of March 15th, COVID-19 has affected more than 150,000 people worldwide and carries a mortality rate of around 3%. To put it into perspective, if you compare these figures to the other coronavirus outbreaks, for example, SARS in 2003 had just over 8,000 cases, with a mortality rate of about 9.5%. And MERS in 2012 had a roughly 2,500 cases, with a mortality rate of about 35%. Despite having a lower mortality rate than its predecessors, 3% is still very significant, especially with the rapidly growing number of cases. You can imagine for every 100 cases, 3 people may die. If we compare these statistics of coronavirus to the seasonal flu caused by the influenza virus, which affects millions each year, the mortality rate of the influenza seasonal flu is less than 0.2%. COVID-19 is caused by SARS coronavirus 2, a beta coronavirus. It is composed of a single-stranded ribonucleic acid, RNA. The virus targets and infects the respiratory system, and is transmitted by contact, droplets, and fomites from another infected person who is symptomatic or even asymptomatic. The incubation period, the time from infection to appearance of symptoms, is about 2 to 14 days. The average age affected is 47 years old, and interestingly, children are rarely symptomatic. Both males and females are affected roughly equally. The classic symptoms of COVID-19 is a fever, dry cough, sore throat, and shortness of breath. These symptoms may progress, and people may develop pneumonia and even acute respiratory distress syndrome, requiring intensive care. The mortality rate, as mentioned, for COVID-19 is 3% roughly. But this increases with age, especially for those above 60, but more significantly for those above 80 years of age. Mortality rate also increases with comorbidities such as diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease. Investigation findings of people infected with COVID-19 are lymphocytopenia, so low lymphocyte count in the blood, and CT chest in patients most commonly demonstrates ground glass opacification,